I'm Mosh and Mikey over here.
Sorry. This is Skeet.
Mosh and Mikey, we'll do part two there.
This is Moshmen live on a Saturday night with our special
Oh yeah,
guest, Junior.
Junior.
Hey!
How's it going, everybody?
Going, man. It is going well up here in the great state of Ohio, and hopefully all is well in the great state of Tennessee, where you're
Oh
from.
yeah, yeah, everything's good, man. It's we actually got a nice warm spell down here. It's about 60, so I'm not going to argue with that. In the first of February.
No, no way. Oh yeah.
All
So
right,
Skeet,
gentlemen.
you got some news for us, Mr. Skeeter?
Uh actually, I'm gonna put the news to you first. So, what
Oh,
happened this week, Mikey? You're the man of the hour as far as that goes. What do we
well,
got?
unfortunately, we have to start this episode with somewhat of a somber detail. John Sykes, who was really well known for Whitesnake, being the guitar player in Whitesnake, also was in Thin Lizzy for a while, who I'm a big fan of Thin Lizzy, Tigers of Pantang, and Blue Murder, which is where I remember him the best. He passed away this week. He was 65 years old. So I had a lot of tributes I saw this week from people that had played with John Sykes, and yeah, I mean he was a talented dude. I mean I loved all the White Snake he was on, but I really loved Blue Murder with Jelly Roll. That's just where I'll remember him. And he was a good vocalist too. It wasn't like he was just a guitar player. He was a damn fine vocalist too. So yeah, that's part of my somber news that we have, and then just a memoriam or whatever you call that for Mr. Janie Lane. I was a Warrant fanatic in the
Oh,
80s and early 90s, and he would have been 64 today. And it just sucks that or 61, I'm sorry. He would have been 61. He was born in 64. Just sucks we lost him so soon. And,
yeah.
I listened to Warrant today in honor of Mr. Jamie Lane, and I've been hairbanding it today. So it was a Warrant day. Dog Eat Dog was the first one I put on. It's just. But then I went back to the good old days of cherry pie and dirty, rotten, filthy, stinking rich, all that good stuff. Two legends, really, that I remembered today. One was passed a while back, and one this week. So that's the somber news. The only somber news you're going to get out of me today.
All right.
Otherwise, life is beautiful, man.
Well, I mean, you know, Janny Lane was he was a great vocalist, and it's how long's it been now since he's passed?
Oh, it's been a while. I don't remember the exact year. I think 2011, if I'm not
Okay,
mistaken.
A lot of years.
okay.
2011.
So
Yeah.
he's been missed, and the band's gone on, and John Sykes. On that note, John Sykes was the Blue Murder album was awesome, but a lot of people don't realize that he did the work that he did on the Whitesnake album that exploded.
Yeah.
That Whitesnake album in the '80s because you know that he got replaced when they did that video for
Yeah,
Still Night.
yeah. He
Yeah.
wasn't on any of the videos. He has the credit. His name was on the back of the album, but they weren't in
Yeah.
any of the videos.
So,
Yeah.
it was kind of like, unfortunately, he kind of got the short end of the stick when it came to that era of Whitesnake because he played on it, and like you
Yeah.
said, he got the credit on the album, but
Yeah.
everybody was
And
like,
those
"Oh, well, that's these guys."
and those riffs were outstanding. That's what caught the crying in the rain riff alone was just out of this world.
Mhm.
And he was a talented dude, but he had a good career, so you can't go down too bad. I mean, that'd be a hell of a career to have, being in major rock bands all your life. I wouldn't. I would say doing all
Yeah,
that, living to 65, I'd probably be okay. I'd
yeah, I'm
probably be
sure.
okay. But
Sure, he had
still,
a good time doing that.
yeah, yeah.
You know, it's funny you mentioned Jelly Roll. His bar down here in Nashville is just about ready to open, I think.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
He's
he's got a new
that.
bar down here that's fixing to open just around the corner from the Wallen bar.
Huh. It's
Yeah,
going the way of the other ones, huh? Because Toby Keith's got one down
yeah.
there, right? Yeah,
Jason
and then
Aldean, Kid
yeah,
Rock. Yeah, they've all got bars down here. You can it's pretty often you can run into pretty big people down here.
that'd be sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Definitely. You're our southern contact, so why don't you tell anybody who hasn't had caught the episode that you did with us last year? You were our first guest that we had on.
Yep.
So why don't you kind of give everybody just a little background on yourself, so anybody
So
tuning in?
up north, you know, I was playing with, you know, I played with Grey Cloud Nine was my basic band up there for the most of my experience up there in the north. When we weren't doing Grey Cloud Nine stuff, Dave Osborne and I were doing we were doing a kind of a side project called 454 Acoustic, which ironically enough was what we started playing originally, but had moved on to the harder edge stuff as we progressed. But when we were minus a bass player or a guitar player, we would always do the 454 acoustic thing and do covers and just to keep our chops up and to have fun playing out in bars and stuff. So we would do that from time to time. And then, of course, I got the opportunity to play with you and John and Laughing Cattle, and that was, always a fun thing to do. And don't like to believe that that's dead. I like to believe that that's just it's on a even pause right now, so that we can get everything in line, so we can continue collaborating on music even across the distance. So that's definitely a highlight in my music career in the north. Moving down here, um, and ironically enough, this being the music city, I haven't really had the opportunity much to get into anything musically since I've been down here, other than going to watch other bands play. Now, since I've been down here, I've seen oh Lord, ICP, and I've seen um, King's X again for like the eighth time. I saw those guys play, and a couple other bands. I've been going to lots of shows. Definitely been going to lots of shows. Not been playing it myself, but still been in the music and involved in the music city lot. The nightlife there. So I definitely am staying musically, keeping my music acumen on point, and plan to get back to playing music very very soon. So, like I said,
Very
it's the
cool.
music city, and one thing that I've noticed about Nashville musically is where it kind of differs from like the Dayton music scene is in Dayton you were really kind of limited on the places that you could play. You had a handful of really good venues, and then you had another handful of kind of mediocre venues. But even with both handfuls of venues, you're still kind of limited on where you can play. Here in Nashville, it's like it's limitless. You could play a different bar every night, and you 3 or 4 years it'd take you to get through all that stuff. There's so many venues, and even the shitty ones are still fun.
Yeah.
Even the ones that are in a bad part of town are still really cool venues that probably some musician that's making millions of dollars now started on that exact same stage. So there's a lot of music and a lot of music history, and definitely a lot of opportunities to play live here in Nashville. So it's a good place to be.
So
awesome.
Are there enough venues that will have your hard or your heavy rock too, or I mean,
Yeah.
I know it's got to be at least country heavy for most of them, right?
It is. The thing is, and this is kind of the neat thing. You kind of have like little areas. Obviously on Broadway, you're not going to play Broadway playing hard alternative. You're going to play on Broadway playing your country or your blues or something like that. Uh, even on Broadway, there's going to be it's going to be originals, but it's going to be things that everyone can listen to and dance to and have a good time without having to know the songs. Now, when you get off of Broadway and you start going on those back streets, especially believe it or not, Nashville's got a pretty good underground. And some of those places underground, yeah, man, they play some really good music, some alternatives, some even there's grunge is still alive. There's some really good rock and metal bands here. And the thing is, the people that people are like, oh, Morgan Wallen lives there, and blah 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 blah. There's 100 country music artists here, but what people don't really understand is there's a lot of rock and metal artists that live in Nashville too. A lot of good recording opportunities in the Nashville area, and man, it's brought musicians from all genres here, not just country and blues. So yeah, there's a lot of good opportunity to play any kind of music you want to play down here. That's for sure. Now, I ain't gonna say that everybody you talk to ain't got that southern twang. But hey, I can sing metal with a southern twang, man. Come on, that's.
Absolutely, you can.
Anything else you want to go over, Mikey? We got any other kind of news or anything?
No, I think the only news really item I had was, did you guys happen to catch, and maybe I'll talk a little bit about it if you didn't, but did anybody catch the Fire Aid show that was for Los Angeles for the big fire benefit thing?
No, but I think I saw something about it.
Yeah, they had all the normal LA people there, of course, and there was some things I was surprisingly in the good way, and there was some things that really, for better words, that disgust me. Really, it pissed me off a little bit. So I didn't know if anybody else had seen any of that. Like, well, I'll just talk about it a little bit. Green Day was the first band to come out, and I'm not a Green Day fan anymore, but
Me either.
first thing they do at a benefit concert for these fire victims is Billy Joe comes out and says, "Fuck Meta and fuck Google." What does that have to do with anything? I mean, this dude has to go political in anything he does. But anyway, I think I'll get to the music part. Pink sings a cover of Led Zeppelin on there. And I absolutely have to give her props for that. And I'm not a Pink fan. I don't listen to Pink on a daily basis.
Me either.
But she did really well, and I was happy about that. Some other bands that were, just normal, ordinary bands there were okay. They were doing their thing for charity, but their Nirvana reunion, and I think Skeeter probably knows more than Junior knows that I'm a pretty big Nirvana guy.
Yeah.
And they've had a couple little slight reunion things go on before. I didn't care about. I mean, they were okay for me. I didn't mind that they did them, but they came out and did Breed first, and they had Dave Grohl's daughter doing Breed.
Oh wow!
And it didn't sound right. She was not singing on the right tempo with the song. Mm-hmm. She did do All Apologies, and it was good. I will give her that. But they had Kim Gordon from Sonic Youth come out, and she did School. And I love Kim Gordon. I mean, I love her attempt. She's 71 years old. but it sounded like garbage to me. I don't know. As much as it tried. And then they did Territorial Pissings was the last one they did with Joan Jett. And I drew the line there. I said, don't ever do another Nirvana reunion ever. Don't.
Yeah.
Just don't. It just, I don't know why they had to use girl singers for every Nirvana song. It drove me nuts. I don't know why they don't, let Post Malone do it. He did great when he did it.
Yeah.
He did absolutely great when he did the whole hour and a half of Nirvana one time. And I know Post Malone's a multi-talented guy and all that, but I liked that version. But this version was not for me. So that's why I was just going to hit on if anybody had seen it, because I thought maybe I'm being too critical being a Nirvana guy. But yeah, it wasn't good. I understand it was for a benefit. We just talked about the same kind of deal with New Dragons a couple weeks ago, the
Mm-hmm.
Nirvana thing or Soundgarden thing. I'm sorry, and we had to bite our tongue about that because it was for charity. This one, I don't know, man. I guess you'll have to go watch it, and then you can tell me later what you think of it, because it was not good for me and didn't do anything for me. So
I tell
that's the
you,
only other kind of
when
new thing I know I had.
when you try to take such an iconic band and such an iconic front person, especially
Right.
after they've, if after they've passed away, uh, you know, I've seen lots of clips of the girl that's singing with Linkin Park now, and bless her heart, she's got a great voice, but when you hear those those iconic riffs, man, that came from such a strong presence as a front person, man, it's hard to hear it from anybody else.
Yeah.
It just I mean, sometimes, and the exception, of course, is the front man for ACDC. I mean, come on, it was almost like a spot on match. But then you have Van Halen that's got you know two different styles of singing that both work. That's fine, but when you try to replace the person that's no longer with us with a voice that's similar but not really, it's hard to get over that. It's hard to get past that. I
Yeah.
know exactly what you mean. It's some of those songs I would rather never hear again with anyone else singing them, and just have the history, on that I can listen to and never have to hear them again with anybody else. That's
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, Alice in Chains uh, has had a pretty successful
yeah,
go at it.
yeah,
So it's
Yeah.
not impossible. It's just it, like you said, it's a hard pill to swallow,
yeah, yeah.
knowing that you're not
Well,
going to get
well, I don't want
anywhere
to get
but close.
I don't want to get called any kind of feminist because that has nothing to do with it. But
No, no, it has nothing to do with
the bands that I've heard that try to recover this, that sing with a girl singer instead of the guy, that right there makes it different for me.
Yeah, it
And
does.
then and if it doesn't work on top of that, it's almost like Dave Grohl's still playing drums, Pat Smear was still there, Novoselic was still on bass, so everybody was there. But then they changed the singer to a girl. Why? I don't. I've seen them do, like I said, other things with a different guy singer, and it was just pretty good. I mean, it wasn't
Mhm,
terrible, but this
mhm.
just didn't match. It just, I mean, like I said, I don't want to be critical of somebody doing it for charity, but damn, leave Nirvana alone, man.
I think
leave him if you want to do Nirvana again. Have at least have Courtney and Kurt's daughter sing or something. I don't
yeah,
know
yeah. I think I
with
would
Dave
rather hear.
Grohl.
I think I would rather hear somebody do a complete cover of the song than have the full band other than the lead singer. I would rather just have
Yeah,
a different band do the full cover and let it be their own than to try to replace one member and do it the way it was done originally.
Exactly. And I think I don't know if Skeeter ever watched it, but I was talking about that Post Malone thing. It was Post Malone and two guys I didn't know and Travis Barker, and they did an hour and a half of Nirvana at Post Malone's house in Utah or something, and he nailed it. He was killing it. And it's like, man, they should do a full blown Nirvana tribute album at this point because it was that good. And I didn't expect that out of Post Malone at the time. I had no idea about him. This was several years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, this guy can do anything. That's when I became a Post Malone fan. It's like, this guy can do everything. Now he's doing country, for God's sake. He can do it all.
Yeah. Speaking of which, back when we first moved down here last March, around the May timeframe, he played at the Grand Ole Opry. And my wife and I she's a huge Posty fan, and we were looking into getting tickets for that. But yeah, he's there's a few people that I know from my work that rub elbows with him and his entourage on a regular basis.
Man, that'd be cool. Yeah. He seems like a genuinely pretty cool dude. He really does.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, I'd like to see something like that. Like you said, it's so hard to replace an icon and then trying to do it with a whole different gender. Yeah. I mean, it makes it even tougher for you, really, to sound legit. But it is what it is. I mean, Nirvana can do what they want to do, the remaining people, but I wish they wouldn't. I really do. But.
Yeah. Leave the legacy to stand on its own.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
All right. I saw this a couple days ago. We've got David Lee Roth and a Piercy DeMartini partial Rat reunion to headline 2025 edition of M3 Rock Festival.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So I saw a little bit of that brewing on X. And what's everybody think of that? Now, I'm not real sure what the M3. Do you know what the M3 is? Either one of you guys?
It's a big festival they have over in Maryland every year for all the 80s bands. If you remember when I went to Loudon Lima up here about, 5-6 years ago, they do that every year in Maryland. It's like a 3-day festival of the 80s bands. And so I think by Baltimore somewhere. But yeah, it's like considered the hair band reunion every year, kind of, sort of.
Oh, wow.
I thought about going to that a couple times. I was like, man,
hey, if you go, let me know. I'll go with you, man. I'm all about the hair.
Yeah, that sounds like it'd be pretty fun, but it's like I'm not a fan of this whole Rat reunion thing per se, but it would still be cool to maybe see it. But Stephen Piercy, just the last few I've seen performances of his, is just not. It's one of those things. It's just like, man, I loved you when you were in the 1980s, early 90s, but your you've been rode hard, put away wet, dude.
Yeah.
It's like your voice. It's just, I don't like to be that brutal because look where he is compared to where I am. But if I know I'm hitting the wrong chords and not sounding even like I did on the albums, I'm calling it at that point. Money's one thing, but integrity's got to be in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Him and Don Dokken need to get together and say, hey, you know what? We should quit.
Yeah.
And walk off. Yeah, that's what they should do. But the mighty dollar, man. It's all about the mighty dollar at times,
Yeah.
Well, as far as the Piercy DeMartini thing, I mean, it's been quite a while since those two teamed up, because I think there was bad blood between a lot of the members of Rat when they split up, and Blotzer was going out for a while with other members and doing some shows as Rat.
Yeah, I don't know if
they were years ago that he did that.
Yeah, I don't know if they were calling it Rat for sure. I think maybe it was Rat and Roll or something. I mean, they might have had a side name for it, but I do remember some of that. Kind of like Great White was going out and they had Great Jack Russell's Great White and they had Great White. And so it's like people were. Stephen Piercy goes out as Stephen Piercy, but he always said
Yes.
the voice of Rat. So everybody knows who it is and what he's going to sing.
Well, yeah,
He's
and
not.
he just came through the area and did Out of the Cellar in its entirety.
Yeah, yeah.
So I mean, it's not like he's not been doing the Rat stuff. I mean, we saw him in Versailles, and it was, everything was Rat. That's all it was.
Well, and
And
that's the
he
great
just
thing.
had different guys playing.
That's the great thing about being in a hair band that was popular, man. You're good for life on gigs. You're
Yeah.
never going to get turned away from a gig. They're going to say, "Oh, I don't care that the best album was in 1989. I don't give a shit. Here they are. We get to see them." And and I seen him, Stephen Piercy. I seen him at the creme de la creme bottom at the Mug and Jug.
Oh wow.
In Piqua,
Yeah.
Ohio. So it's
Oh my
like
God. Did Rat play there or just Stephen Piercy?
Stephen Piercy.
Stephen Piercy.
At
Yeah,
the Buggin' Jug?
yeah. It's like we had a dive bar in Sydney years ago called The Jungle, and Quiet Riot played there, and I was like, "What? They're a
Oh
half a
man.
block from my house."
You have
Yeah.
hit the pinnacle when you're headlining a show there.
Yeah, exactly. I was like,
And it was loud. It was so fucking loud. It was one of the loudest shows I'd ever been to in a small club like that.
Wow.
So
yeah,
and it was everybody was still who was missing. Uh
well,
Carlos wasn't playing guitar,
Oh yeah.
right.
but oh my god, my brain just blanked.
Rudy Sarzo was
Crazy.
on bass, and the
I
drummer,
don't think Rudy was playing.
Uh,
So they had a
Frankie
different
Benali.
Frank.
Probably
I
had
think Frankie was playing, and then
yeah,
the singer. Shit.
Kevin Dubrow.
Yeah, Kevin Dubrow.
Kevin
Kevin
Dubrow,
Dubrow was still alive.
Yeah,
So this was way long time ago.
yeah,
wow.
yeah.
But yeah.
Well,
Man.
and you catch a show like that once in a while, but usually it's the underground bands you catch. Like a few years ago, I got to see Crowbar at the Courtyard.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
place has 100, maybe 200 if you're squeezing asses together in there.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I was 5 feet away from Kirk Winstein for an hour and a half. I was in
yeah,
heaven.
yeah.
I was like, this is great, man. This small ass place. And no ego from them guys. That's what I really like when you get a band like that in a small place that can still play Vok in open air, but
Yeah.
they go play a place in bump BFE, Ohio for 200 people, and they're as nice as can be, and they're still out there giving everything they got on every song.
That's
That
awesome.
was, that's a big deal for me that I got to see them like that personable and still that good.
I think that Jamie. I think that band that what was the kids that live close to you over there?
Oh, good lord.
Falling
Oh,
Through Time.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
okay, yeah, falling through
I
time.
think they opened one of the bands.
Yeah.
Show.
They opened that. That's who I bought my tickets off of.
Oh yeah.
Because I lived in town at the time, and I seen they posted it on there. They said we're selling tickets. I'm like, got right on Messenger. I need to meet me at the VFW, man. They did. And they come over and bought them. $20 to see Crowbar up close. And it's like you can't beat that.
You can't beat that. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'll tell you what, ticket prices are out of control. So yeah, anytime I can pay $20 to see any band, that's in my pass, I'm going to do it.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
So again, let's see. So Diamond Dave is gonna be part of that headline. So
Yeah.
anybody heard any Diamond Dave lately?
Well, isn't he doing Vegas or something? And he got a residency. I thought he had a residency for a while out in Vegas. It's the last time
I
I heard anything
think
about him.
so. I think there. I don't know if it was currently he's doing it, but I know he did one there for a little while. And I thought he kind of cut it short.
He might have. Oh, speaking of that, while you're on that, we talked about bands that farewell tour and all that, and then they come back. Guess who's doing a one-off show coming up here? The good old mighty Aerosmith.
Oh,
What?
jeez.
It's supposed to be a one-off, but we'll see. Because if he can sing, like that was the problem, right? He couldn't
Yeah,
sing.
yeah.
So if he can sing again, I wouldn't shock me. It would not shock me, dude. I'd rather have him go away like NoFX did. I don't think you're going to see NoFX come back. And Sum 41's last show ever was the other night in Canada. And I don't think they're ever coming back because they have
Really?
other members that want to go on and do harder
Yeah,
rock stuff.
yeah,
But Sum 41 was a big pop punk band. You know, they were, but I hope to God I mean, not to sound shitty, but I hope they don't come back. I'd like to see some bands start kind of sticking to their word. Like, and not to say Aerosmith's not going to do that. Maybe it is just a one off for some charity like, you know, Fire Aid was and stuff like that. But yeah, I hope they don't get the itch and say, well, we're coming back, because that's just, if I was a ticket buyer on that last tour and they did that, I'm pissed off instantly
yeah, yeah.
because I know
Kiss
I
did that.
paid jacked up prices for that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Kiss did that several times. This is our last tour.
yeah, exactly. It's
I
been
think
done
Motley
to
Crue's
death.
going for the cup now. I think they're trying to beat Kiss doing it. So
Yeah, it's a battle for how many comebacks you can do. Slayer's doing the same thing. They're doing the festivals again next year. I'm like, why didn't you just say we're done touring a lot? We're going to do festivals every year. I would have been okay with that. All right, dudes, do what you got to do.
yeah,
But don't say this is your last chance to ever see Slayer until we decide next year to come out of retirement and do these festivals. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
It's just it just seems schemy to me. I don't know.
It
Well,
does.
so many of them, the bands are starting to age out. And
Yeah.
I just wish they would all just come out and say, look, we're going to do summer tours and we might take a summer off and then maybe we'll come back out and do a few more summer tours. I don't have a problem with that. But just,
Yeah.
just say it. We
Say,
we can't do world tours. We can't do, these huge tours anymore. So bear with us. We're going to get out and still play a little bit. Just be honest. Why
yeah.
Yeah.
can't they be honest?
It's all about that marketing, man. It's all about making that money.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I
it
mean,
alienates the fans.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
like Mikey said, Slayer, oh, we're going to do these shows. And then, that'll be the last time. And how many people came from, Europe
Different countries. Yeah.
yeah,
to come see Slayer one last time because this is it?
Well, they had people from all over the world coming to Louder Than Life when they were supposed to play there, and it got rained out by the hurricane. You're spending thousands upon dollars to come there is one thing, but then to have them cancel
yeah,
and even schedule the next night or anything, they could have. They very well could have done that. They didn't. Yeah, I would be a non-Slayer fan forever. I wasn't there just to see Slayer, so I'm good. But it's still irritating for that. But you get bands like Evanescence even. How long has it been since Evanescence has put out an album that I don't
yeah,
remember any albums from the first one really.
yeah.
And they still tour the festivals every year. They're going out with Metallica now. They're going to open for Metallica on this next
Lord.
M72 thing or whatever the hell they're doing. So it's like all they do is that. I respect them more than I do bands that say we're done.
Mm-hmm.
And they might not have recorded an album in 20 years, but they're not saying they're done either. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
let them do what they do live show wise. I don't care, but it's just me, man. I'm an asshole, I guess.
I'm the same way, man. I'm the exact same way.
I
Well,
don't know.
if you're going to fork out this outrageous money for these shows, and Junior, you touched on it, and fucking ticket prices are not cheap anymore.
Oh my God, they're outrageous. They're
And
outrageous.
depending on who it is, if you want to see live music, you need to go see no name bands or local bands to get your money's worth, because that's where you're going to actually might find a gem of a band that's out there playing.
Yep.
Otherwise, it's 100, 200,
Well,
400, you know.
Bridgestone Arena, Nine Inch Nails is playing Bridgestone Arena. The tickets just went on sale here, and I mean, as high up and as far away as you can get started, $120. I'm not paying $120 to see Nine Inch Nails. I'm not doing it. Not from the nosebleeds. If I could get in the pit and see them for $120, maybe. But I'm not going to, for the shittiest seats in the building, I'm not paying $120 to see Nine Inch Nails. I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah, I don't get it, man. I mean, these prices, they're nuts.
Well, everybody's
And
making fun of Taylor Swift for charging that much, and then then you got bands like Nine Inch Nails coming out doing the same freaking thing. If,
Well,
if
yeah,
you
I
if
mean,
you're wanting to get people, if it's all about the music, why are you charging these outrageous prices to get people in the door? It's insane.
yeah, I don't get it either. Unless there's more to it than I know. Like, I don't know how that works. Maybe the venues charge the bands, and then they have to recoup that. I don't know
Yeah,
how it works per se, but I know Ticketmaster. They had the big thing with Ticketmaster charging you hundreds of dollars in fees, and
yeah, yeah,
bands tried to push back on that. Like, I remember Pearl Jam was a big one for that, pushing back on it, and some arenas wouldn't even let them play there. I'm like, it's a monopoly at that point. That's ridiculous.
yeah, yeah. I'd much rather go to a smaller venue and see a medium hot band for $40 than to try to get in a big arena, and see a high dollar band for 140. The Brooklyn Bowl down here in Nashville. Man, I saw Mr. Bungle there. Talking about Slayer, Dave Lombardi, and I got to see Ian Scott, and I got to see Scott Ian, and then I got to see you know Mike Patton all at the same time. Come on, man, that's insane. That was awesome. And it cost me like $35.
well,
Yeah,
I mean, that's not a bad fucking night.
It was a
You get
great
two
night.
tickets for you and the missus, or a
Yeah,
date or whatever, and you're hitting $100. How can for a
yeah.
couple to go out? That's not outrageous,
No,
but
man.
200 to 300 a piece. Or in Taylor Swift's, she's a couple thousand
Yeah.
for a fucking seat.
Oh my God, that is crazy.
I mean,
Crazy.
who's paying this shit?
yeah.
She's
Yeah.
selling them out day in and day out. So somebody obviously is. And I guarantee you it's people who have, children that's, under the age of probably 14 that's paying those prices.
Yeah, I don't get it, man. I really don't. It's like talking about going to M3. You could do that and get a hotel package and probably for the whole weekend spend 2 grand.
Yeah. Oh,
I,
yeah. And even and you probably with that, even then, paying 2 grand, you would probably even get VIP passes where you could get autographs.
yeah, yeah, probably at least get VIP seats. I mean, I did that
Yeah.
at the festival over the weekend. It was a 4-day event, and we got 5 days hotel stay, and we got VIP area, and 108 bands, and it cost me and the missus about 4 grand to
Yeah.
do
See,
it. So it's like
I
that's
would,
nothing.
uh-uh,
That's a
I would,
hotel and shuttle service and all that bullshit.
yeah.
And you're gonna spend twice that much to go see Swifty in an arena or a stadium.
You
Oh,
see her,
hell.
she's about that tall down a mile away
Yeah.
from you.
Hell no.
I mean, you can see her on the big screen, but shit, I can do that on HBO now.
Well,
And it's
and Junior, the fucking VIP packages, some of the seats were going for 10 grand a
I,
pop.
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it.
10 grand. I mean,
Man,
it's just, it blows your fucking mind. That's why I'm talking about it yet again. We did an episode and I brought it up. And I
yeah.
was like, it still boggles your fucking mind.
yeah,
So if you want to go with your wife and take your precious daughter to go see Taylor Swift, you're talking, hey, it's, down front in the VIP section, 30 grand. Okay.
yeah. And that's something that a lot of parents will be paying on for 10 or 12 or 15 years. It's almost like another mortgage. It's like, why would you do that? Man,
Yeah.
I've got a 75-inch TV on my wall downstairs that I can watch, and she would be just as big as she would be on one of those monitors. Because that's all you're seeing when you're paying under $10,000 for a seat at a Taylor Swift show. You're going to be so far up in the nosebleeds that you're not going to be able to see anything but those monitors.
Yeah. I mean, you should be able to go out to dinner and spend the weekend with her hanging out for 10 grand.
Well, I was going to
Yeah.
be a little bit more raw than that. If I'm spending 10 grand on Taylor Swift,
Yeah. Something.
That was really wrong of me to say, and I apologize.
It's truth.
I
It
should
is.
be getting sugar from at least one of her roadies.
Yeah. Something. Yeah.
At the
Yeah.
very least.
If I'm getting a second mortgage on the house, I'm getting something else besides watching from the nosebleeds. I know that.
Some guy named Jim's giving me a handy backstage.
Yeah.
oh,
Sorry.
shit. Okay, back to M3. We
Yeah.
kind of touched on the David Lee Roth. Is is that another retirement that should have happened? I mean, I've heard he's still releasing some stuff on I think YouTube. He still puts some videos up. I mean, he's Diamond Dave. A lot of it, he's just like talking about stuff and redoing some Van Halen tunes with the band. And what's your DLR take on that one, guys?
I'm not a big David Lee Roth fan. So, I mean, I've seen him in both solo. I've seen him with Van Halen. He was okay, but that was, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't want to live in the past anymore. So my problem is a lot of these guys, I want to remember them when I saw them at their peak. I don't want to remember a shoddy, not being able to sing, cheesy acting son of a bitch roaming around like he's on Broadway. I
Yeah.
want to remember long hair Dave, doing this crazy shit, forgetting the words, but talking to the crowd and and a rock show. I don't want to see this Broadway a hack out there doing shit. I just don't, man.
Yeah.
I'd rather not put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So not even. I mean, it's basically a nostalgia act. I mean, so if we're gonna do that, let's go ahead and talk about the Pantera reunion tribute, whatever you want to call it. What's your feelings about that? Because I was in the school with, if it's just a tribute to the brothers, and they're going to play these shows, and maybe I don't even know if they should even do an album. You know
I
what
don't
I mean?
think they
I just
will.
think it might just
I
have
really
to
don't.
be. They should just do live shows, and if they want to do that for the next 5 years, to let the younger fans get that Pantera experience and hear, a couple of the guys doing the songs, I'm cool with that. But I don't know if they should even tackle a fucking album. What do you think?
Yeah, see, I'm the same way. See, I don't think you can get the Pantera experience without Dimebag and Vinnie Paul. I just don't. It's just not the same, man. I mean, I've seen Pantera, twice. I saw them twice back in the day, man, and I know that there's. It's just it. You're right. It is an experience, but I just, man, the experience. It would be like seeing ACDC without Angus. You know, it's just that's just such a huge part of the show. And Dimebag he was just such a huge person. Chunk of the show that it would be hard to see it without it. I don't think I would ever try to go to a Pantera show without those two.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan. I wasn't a huge Pantera fan anyway, but I liked more of their side projects than I did the actual Pantera. But
Yeah,
Dimebag was Pantera to me.
yeah,
He was just. I mean, Anselmo was a big part for me, but I can go see Anselmo and Down and be just as happy.
yeah,
I don't need to see. I can see Charlie playing for Anthrax. I mean, I think Zach Wild. I don't need to see them tributing on Pantera songs for more than one tour. I would have been okay with the one tour and say, hey, we gave our respects. That's what we wanted to do. But they probably got offered a shit ton of money to keep
yeah,
going. And unfortunately, they're businessmen too at the end of the day. That's their
yeah,
career.
yeah.
So, I mean, as long as they don't denigrate the legacy, I think they'll keep doing shows
Oh yeah,
because none of them quit their band to go back. So I
yeah,
don't think it's going to ever be a full time thing. I think it's just going to be festivals and big shows and stuff like that. Or with Metallica, they're doing they did the whole thing with Metallica, and I think they're doing maybe festivals next year or this year
hmm
now.
hmm
I'd be okay with that, but I'm not. I'm like Junior. I'm not racing to the ticket office to get tickets for that. Just
yeah.
wouldn't be my thing.
No, me either.
So
No,
opinions on the Sammy Hagar tour that he took Joe Satriani and those guys out on.
I
Same
wish
same
I would.
deal.
I wish I would have seen that. I really wish I would have seen that because he was doing Sammy stuff too, and I was a big Red Rocker fan before he even joined Van Halen.
yeah,
So I would have loved to see all of them doing. They probably do each Satriana's. They probably do Satch Boogie in there. They probably threw something like that in there for him. So it was more like an all star band at that point. And I don't think they're doing all like Van Halen stuff. So they're doing the Van Halen for Michael Anthony and Sammy, but they're doing Red Rocker stuff. They're probably doing Satriani stuff. So I would have dug that more, me personally.
yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, I'm just throwing it out there. It's like what setup is acceptable? Do you think in rock? In that scenario. So you're good with the Sammy doing the Van Halen tunes and doing his tunes and maybe throwing in some Satch stuff,
Yeah.
but you don't want to hear an album either, do you?
No, no. I mean, unless it's Sammy Hagar has his band, with he calls the Circle, which is basically him and Michael Anthony and Satriani and Kenny Aronoff playing drums now. So if they want to do an album, that's fine because that's a separate entity from what they're doing. But
Yeah, the
Pantera,
circle. I get the circle thing, but
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying that the
yeah.
Van
Like,
Halen tribute,
well,
whatever,
I think
best of
if
both worlds or whatever it was.
yeah, I guess it's an opinionated thing because if who you think is the main guy in the band is gone, then I would say no, like Pantera. Just say Alex Van Halen wanted to get, if he would have got Michael Anthony to go out and they would have got a new guitar player and went with David Lee Roth, that would have been a travesty. To go do Van Halen without Eddie Van Halen
Okay,
would be a travesty.
would you have greenlit a fucking Wolfie playing guitar?
No,
Still wouldn't.
No, because Eddie Van Halen was Van Halen to me.
Yeah.
And if they're gone, the band is done. That's
Yeah.
just how it is.
Yeah.
For me. Now, a lot of people would have probably said, hey, that's just passing the torch. I get that.
No. No.
And in some cases, I would say it's better than what they have. Like Sublime, they're doing this Sublime with Rome right now, but Bradley Noel's kid is singing Sublime too. That kid is Sublime to me more than Sublime with Rome because Rome was filling in for the guy, but this is his dad he's filling in.
Yeah.
So I get your Van Halen take a little bit, but
Yeah.
it's still, I mean, that Sublime's not nowhere iconic as Van Halen. So it's kind of different in that regard, but it's just opinion. It's personal opinions, I guess.
Mhm.
It can go both ways. I don't want to sound like hypocritical or double-sided, but I think it just depends on how much that person in that band meant to you
Yeah.
as the band.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, it's just we kind of have a problem with. I mean, I think we all kind of agree on the cash grab type situations, right?
Mm-hmm.
How are we about the cash grabs like you said, like Slayer? Oh, we're done and now we're out, and Kiss, oh, we're done. Oh, wait, no, we're not done. Now, oh yeah, we are done. Oh, wait a minute, let's do the third final tour,
Yeah.
as a cash
Been
grab type
2 years
deal.
and my cash flow is getting low, so it's time to do another tour.
I mean,
Or
yeah, and you hope that's not the case. You're hoping. In my mind, I try to hope that they just really missed what they were doing
Yeah.
and said, you
Yeah.
know what, I'm still capable of doing this. I just don't want to commit to it like we were doing before.
Yeah.
And they should have handled it different, yes. But Slayer coming back, it seemed like a cash grab because they're only doing 3, 4 shows a year. It's like,
Yeah.
if you were really wanting to do it again, you'd be at least putting 3 months into it a year or something. So that one felt a little funky. But Kiss, I think they were just to the point where they didn't know what else to do. And Paul and Gene were kind of like, you know, they were still very capable. Hell, Gene's still going on tour.
Yeah.
So it's like they probably said we're mad at each other right now. We're tired. Let's just get it over with. And then after sitting home for a couple months, twiddling their thumbs, sticking it in their ass or whatever, they're like, "Well, hell, man, this is boring. I don't know what else to do." It's like
Yeah.
retiring, like you retire and you got nothing to do. So you're like, I should just go back to work, man. The hell with that.
But I'm like,
And
I'm like,
I can understand it a little bit, but yeah, I still
well,
don't love it. But it depends on their motive. If their
I'm
motive
saying,
was pure, I'd be a little more accepting. But some of them are, you can almost tell they're not pure. They're for money. That's
yeah,
sad, but
I'm kind of like
that's how I
Skeet,
feel.
man. I'm kind of like Skeet, man. If you think there's any possibility that you're going to come back, don't do a farewell tour. I
Yeah,
mean,
exactly.
say, hey, we're going to start touring a lot less, but we want you to know that you still going to you're until we die, you're going to have the opportunity to see us live. Don't say, well, this is it, this is it. Get your
well,
tickets if you can, but
Yeah,
then 2 years later, we're doing a second farewell tour. Like Motley Crue's done
yeah,
it
well, yeah,
3
that's what I was
times.
just getting ready to say.
Yeah,
Motley
they've done
Crue.
it 3 times. It's like, come on, guys. And this third time, now they're without Mick
Mick.
Mars. So it's
Yeah.
like you just you,
Well,
you
okay.
you not only fuck me because you're doing another tour after you said your farewell, you're fucking me because I'm not gonna get to see all the original members.
yeah,
Well, and
exactly.
it all goes back to merch too. So I went to the final tour, and the merch was all modeled around, you know, it's it. This is it. This is we're done. So they had the date from here to here, and they had the little gravestones on some of the shirts. Motley Crue is done after this, and you buy the fucking merch, and if you're a collector, you're gonna lose your fucking mind because 5 years later, It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I think I still have an end of the road, the end of the road tour from Kiss in 2000. And they went in another 23, 24 years. It's like,
Oh
you
my
rotten bastard.
God.
Man.
And, I'm just trying to stand up for the fans here. If you do the honesty is the best policy, just just come out and say it. Hey,
Yeah.
we still want to come out when we can. And
Yeah.
I might feel a little bit better about chucking out a little bit of extra money to go see Aerosmith on a fucking summer tour, and they just come out and say it. So just fucking say it. I hate the dishonesty with some of these fucking guys. And there's so many of the 80s bands that are still out touring. I mean, Striper
Right.
has got all the original guys or bass
No.
player.
Bass player's different, yeah.
And Oz, the guitar player, was having some cancer issues.
Got brain tumor, yeah.
So, if he needed to step out for some fucking shows while they're still touring the small venues,
Yeah,
I don't have a
did.
problem with it.
Guitar Tech took over for one leg of a tour or something until he could do it, and
so that's not disingenuous at all. That's, hey, we're still out. You can still come see us at shows, and I don't have an issue with that.
yeah, and Striper's one of those because there was a 15-year gap at one time in between albums for them, but they never once said we're done. They just they just hung around and they did a show when they had to, whatever. Michael Sweet toured with Boston for a little bit. I mean, it was like doing different things, different projects, but they never once said this is our last tour and then we're done and then come back. They just said, yeah, we're on hiatus. Leave it at that. And they did, they waited all that time. Then they came back. In the last 20 years, they've been steamrolling, album every couple years, tours all over the place. It's like, yeah, they do what they do.
I'm still waiting for Hall & Oates to come back out, man. Can't wait. I'm gonna get. That's the show I'm gonna see, man.
I don't think you'll see that one. Boy, those guys hate each other.
And the sad thing is, you guys think I'm joking, but man, I would love to see Hall & Oates.
I don't. I mean, I'm not a hater of Hall & Oates by any means, but yeah, I just know they've had some pretty heavy conflict between them. But yeah, as far as their music goes, I mean, yeah, I was a closet Hall & Oates guy.
Man.
I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, I tell you what, Daryl Hall's a talented guy. Have you ever watched Live at Daryl's house or something like that?
Yeah.
Really cool musicians on there.
Yeah. Really cool. I like the Tommy Shaw episode where they did Blue Collar Man together.
Yeah.
That was pretty badass. Yeah, it was a good show.
Yeah.
Well, it just goes to show that there's so much that some of these guys can still do and pull on. Yeah. I remember that show.
Yeah.
That was fucking awesome. They had so many team ups on that it was like, hearing like even some current artists pull off a Hall & Oates song.
Yeah.
So that was brilliant on his part to pull off a show like that and
I wish
still be relevant.
I haven't seen it. I don't know if it's on anymore, but I don't have that channel where I used to watch it. I'm like, man, I love to watch that show.
I think it come on AXS or something.
Axis, like that. Yeah, and I don't have that anymore. So I was like, kind of sucks, but yeah.
All right, boys. Next topic. So we're into hour 1. We're getting ready to go into hour 2. I want to bring up the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Okay.
And what's everybody's take on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Now, it's a cool institution. It's up in Cleveland, so Ohio can claim, hey, we have the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
what's your take on the whole fucking thing? Just be brutally fucking honest. How do we feel about how they pick people, who they have picked? Let's just tear it apart. Let's go Rock and Roll Hall of Fame issues. What do you think?
Junior, you go first, man. I ain't got nothing
Yeah,
good to say, so I'll wait.
I'm the same way. I was going to say I got one word to say, and that's Rush. What in the fuck made them wait so long to get Rush in there? When you have people like Moby that's been in there for years. Come on, man.
Yeah, that's
Really?
ridiculous.
And you're inducting people like Dolly Parton. I love Dolly. Don't get me wrong, man. I'm in Tennessee. Come on, I have to love
Yeah,
Dolly. But she's not. She doesn't belong in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. She belongs in the Country Music Hall of Fame in Nashville. You
yeah,
know, if you're going to be rock and roll, be rock and roll. And I hate to segregate things because we have a world full of segregation and people are segregating by race and by all these things and that's fine, but when it comes to rock and roll, be rock and roll. If you've got a hip hop hall of fame, that's fine, but if you're going to have a rock and roll hall of fame, be rock. Don't be Moby's not rock and roll.
yeah.
Come
Yeah.
on.
Don't have Queen Latifah in there before you get Judas Priest.
that
I
how
mean,
is
that's
that possible?
ridiculous.
That
Now,
is
That
absolutely ridiculous. And I love Queen Latifah. Don't get me wrong.
I
I
don't
love.
listen to her, but it's definitely not rock music.
Yeah, it's not
That's
rock
it.
music. I think if you ask Queen Latifah, she would probably ask, "Why am I being inducted before Rush?" You know.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, well, they got anti Canadian or what? Well, that's
I,
crazy.
I don't know.
Rush was a powerhouse for
Yeah.
years.
now,
I mean, have you ever been to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
no, have not.
Yeah, I have. I have. Yeah.
So I've been a couple times, and uh, I love the concept of it. I love the fact. Matter of fact, the last time I went, they had a lot of John Lennon's notebooks there, and they were, of course, all under glass and everything. But to be able to stand there and be inches away from notebooks that had lyrics in them that changed the world, there's something to be said for that. I mean, there's a neat, it's just neat to be able to say I was standing there and I was reading the exact words off of the exact notebooks. That's pretty cool. But when you walk in the door, there's a big sign that says Moby, and you're like,
Moby.
I almost instantly get slapped in the face with pop music. It's like,
Yeah.
come on, man.
It's, I was like you were talking about. You go from something like John Lennon's notebooks, and next to it is Michael Jackson's glove. I'm sorry, I don't give a shit about
Uh-uh.
Michael Jackson's glove at Rock and Roll
No,
Hall of Fame.
no. If I wanted
I,
to see the pop Hall of Fame, then I would expect to see his glove. But in
yeah,
the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, that's not what I expect to see.
yeah, I didn't see near enough of rock stuff as I have seen R&B and Motown and all that stuff, and it's like I just don't get it. Why just change the name to the Music Hall of Fame? Just
Yeah,
don't call it the Rock and Roll
yeah,
Hall of Fame.
yeah. Exactly,
It's
exactly.
like
Just call it
I don't go to Canton. I don't go down the road to Canton to the Pro Football Hall of Fame and see baseball shit.
no,
You know what I mean?
absolutely
It's the
not.
same thing.
You don't even see like Australian rules football stuff. You see
No.
American NFL football stuff.
Yeah, and that's what it should be, and that's what the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame should either change its name to the Music Hall of Fame or branch it out to be one put have one for music and put another one somewhere else for rock, hard rock, heavy metal,
Yeah,
hardcore, stuff like that. Because there's bands like, well, we were just talking about Striper. They're not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I think that's ridiculous.
and they probably
They
never will be,
no,
which
they
is
probably won't. That's what's sad.
yeah. I mean, you have a lot of uh, metal genres that will never be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because a lot of there's bureaucrats that look at them and say, well, I can't understand what they're saying, so they don't belong here. And that's so wrong. It's so
Yeah.
wrong. There's so many, there's so many bands out there that don't have, that don't have, platinum records covering their walls that do belong in there, you know.
Yeah, if we're going by the merit of the music, because some of them were underground, like say a Clutch,
Yeah,
so bands like that, it's like they're very popular underground, but they didn't
yeah,
sell hundreds of millions of records like Prince. And I love Prince. Prince is one of my
yeah,
favorite guitar players, favorite entertainers. It's like I loved a lot of his albums. He's borderline to be rock music for me.
yeah.
And I don't know, you know, maybe I would give a pass to a guy like Prince, but Michael Jackson, no way. There's no way. Aretha Franklin, hell no.
Michael Jackson's not shredding on a guitar.
Yeah. I mean, he had Eddie Van Halen play his guitar solos for him, and beat it, stuff like that. But, I'm not disrespecting Aretha Franklin, but they call her the Queen of Soul, man.
Yeah,
Put her in the Soul Museum. It's a
yeah,
soul
yeah,
music museum. She's probably thinking the same thing. Why the hell would I, if she was alive? I don't think she's alive, but
yeah.
why would I be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? I ain't no rock and roll. It's like it's just it's
Well,
boggling. I don't know why it went that way, but
just to give you a little bit of information, this is an older article. Uh, says here, uh, members of 2016 nominating committee, which according to the website included Chairman John Landau, journalist Dan Frick, Stephen Van Zandt, Amir Questlove Thompson, Tom Morello, Paul Schaefer, Robbie Robertson were some of the.
so why is Questlove in that committee? That's
Okay,
horseshit.
just wait. So that was in 2016. So you're talking they have a nominating committee. So if these guys are not still on the committee, apologies to them, but you're talking Stephen Van Zandt, Tom Morello, Paul Schaefer, and Questlove were
So
on that. They were the ones that were picking who gets nominated.
wow,
So
I wasn't aware of that. I wasn't aware
Yeah.
that that's how it was done. I mean, obviously there's going to be a committee somewhere, but I didn't know it was made up of like people like Tom Morello.
well, okay, so
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. So uh each member gets to nominate two artists for induction. So an artist is eligible for induction 25 years after the release of their first official recording.
Huh.
I did know that, but
So that's how they're. And then it says ballots are sent to more than 600 historians, members of the music industry, and artists, including every living Rock Hall inductee, and the 5 performers receiving the most votes become that year's induction class.
How can it how can it have taken them so long to induct Rush? And I don't mean to keep beating that dead horse, but and I'm
no,
not
it's
even
true.
that
Yeah.
big of a Rush fan, but I have seen them play, and those guys belonged in there for a long time.
Well, yeah, because they came out in the '70s, so they were eligible in 2000, and
Yeah,
so was Judas Priest,
yeah,
and it took them till last year to get in.
yeah.
Well,
It's like, golly,
so
man.
it's looking like whoever's on this committee is calling the shots on who the hell gets nominated for induction. And
Yeah,
then
that's
they send the ballots out to all these different people, and they do have like a fan vote too. So
Yeah.
once they
yeah,
have who they're going to induct, they put it out to the public to say, okay, who do you guys want to see get
right.
inducted?
But why is a guy like Questlove, who's not a rock musician, even getting a nomination vote. That's what cracks me up. It's like the musicians I kind of get, like Tom Morello. Okay, Rage is enough of a rock band to qualify him, but Paul
Yeah.
Schaefer. I mean,
Paul
come
Schaefer
on, he's the
was,
band leader for David Letterman. Who gives a
yeah,
rat's ass?
yeah.
It's not the TV broadcasters Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
It's supposed to be rock music.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the. I went there and I really wasn't. I really wasn't. I really didn't care for it. Put it that way. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be.
yeah. It's
It had some cool shit, like you said.
yeah. It's definitely. I think it's a place to visit once. I don't think I would.
Yeah,
I don't think I would go back. Being and to be honest, I think it was even more appealing because it was so close. Being in Ohio, I think I ended up. We went as part of a. I went to Cedar Point, and we went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame at the same trip. Um,
yeah. See, that's kind of what we went for, like a 5-day vacation kind of thing.
yeah,
I wanted to go to a House of Blues. I'd never been to a House of Blues.
yeah,
And it was Cleveland close enough. And the festival we were going to go to had gotten rained out. So we said, hell, we got the week off already. Let's just pick a place in Ohio to go to. I said, well, Cleveland would be kind of cool. I've never, been there for football games and that. And we looked up a bunch of stuff in Cleveland, and that's where we went. So it's like, otherwise, I don't think I would have made a special trip
yeah,
knowing who's in there and who wasn't. It's kind of
yeah.
so. Skeeter, you're not missing nothing.
Yeah.
You probably still want to go, maybe, if you got
If
nothing else going
you,
on.
yeah, if you happen to be in Cleveland and you're looking for something to do,
Go
yeah,
for
Well,
it.
there you go. If you go to see AC/DC this summer,
yeah,
go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame when you're there,
yeah,
because it's down the street. It's down the street from Progressive Field, so you'll be all right.
yeah.
All right. I'm still looking here. I was trying to see if they had like a list of who.
Yeah, I don't know how many they induct every year. I know it's not just one. It's a handful, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's usually like a dozen, I think. There's
Yeah,
usually like a dozen actual performers, and then they do like I know they do like producers, and they have some of the probably promoters and DJs and stuff like that. I think they do 12 main ones, I think. So
yeah,
I'd make like six members nominating two apiece or something, maybe. I don't know.
yeah.
Well, let's
The
see.
year I went was Bon Jovi, I think, was the main one. I think Bon Jovi was getting in the year I went up there.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Brian Adams still hasn't been inducted. Alice in
That's
Chains still
Wow.
not been inducted.
travesty.
That is.
Greg Allman has not been inducted.
Oh wow. That's crazy.
America has not been inducted.
That's
See,
crazy.
come on now.
These,
Anthrax, Argent.
I tell you, man, the heavier bands, they get a raw deal from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They really do.
Yeah, they don't get
Well,
no
yeah,
love at
but does
all.
it surprise you when you get the list of the people that's fucking choosing these people?
Yeah,
No.
it doesn't surprise me. Yeah, not at all.
Even Tom Morello that you're talking about, he probably did some artsy fartsy kind of funky
Probably.
type stuff. It
Yeah,
probably wasn't a heavy band he nominated. So
yeah,
Well, it's like Asia has not been inducted. Bachman Turner Overdrive. Bad Company. Bad fucking
Wow.
company.
wow.
Bad
I
finger.
can see Asia maybe, but yeah, because they only had a couple albums, but
Yeah.
still, it's like
Black Crows hasn't been inducted. Blackfoot.
I mean, some of them, not everybody probably deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. That would make it less of a Hall of Fame. But when you got Moby going in,
Yeah.
and probably Gwen Stefani will be in there soon.
Blue
It's like these
Oyster
people
Cult.
going in there.
Blue
I think
Oyster Cult is not in.
See, that's a fucking travesty.
That is a
really
travesty.
irritates.
Yeah.
That really irritates me there.
Yeah.
Because they were huge in the 70s.
Isn't
Oh, fuck.
Skeet, are you looking? Is No Doubt in there?
I've just somebody classic rock and culture compiled this list. How
Okay.
Boston's not even in the motherfucker.
Who isn't?
Who? Oh, give me a fucking break. They are too.
Boston? Are you kidding me?
They gotta be.
Man, Boston is the shit, dude. I'm a metal guy, but man, I am a Boston.
All right, give me a minute.
fan.
Give me a minute. I'm doing research here, guys.
I'll revolt in the fucking street right now. That would be a damn shame, man. That's like shut that place down if Boston's not in there. My gosh, what do you got to do?
Let me check.
I'll tell you what. The last verse of More Than a Feeling makes me choke up every time I hear it. Every time.
Oh yeah, that debut. It's got to be the best debut album. It's in my top 5 every time I talk about anything, but it's got to be one of the best debut albums of all time. And then the second album was damn near as good as the first one. I mean, I like the first 3 heavy. I admit after that I kind of skated on it a little bit, but those first 3 albums were like, wow, that's 10 years they kind of dominated.
Yeah.
And it's like, why in the hell aren't they even they're not in the Hall of Fame? That's just disgusting.
I agree. That is a travesty.
So they'll wait till Tom Scholz dies and then put him in posthumous or whatever the hell it is. That's horse shit.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't put Brad Delp in there. But, I mean, he's already dead. But, Tom Scholz is the main guy. So, yeah, if they wait too long, he'll be dead. He's got to be 70s.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Well, the Aerosmith, everybody in Aerosmith's over 70 too. It's like, it's hard to believe you start actually understanding your own age whenever you're starting to hear, those guys are over 70. It was like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah, it's messed up.
Close to 70.
I'm on the road, man. I'm getting too close to even 60. I'm like freaking out.
Oh, no, me too. Holy crap.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I just don't understand the whole process maybe, but I know a lot of those bands that got in that were R&B and soul, if you take all those out, just about every rock band deserving would be in there.
Oh my God. Nope. Still isn't.
No.
Boston is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
That is bullshit. God.
I had to look it up in Grok to find out. So
at
this fucking point, no Boston. Wow. Yeah. I don't even know what to fucking say.
I know exactly what to say. Fuck the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Fuck them pricks. I want my money back. I want my money back from the time I went there.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah. That's crazy. Let's see.
Oh, that's gonna piss me off all day.
Well, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young hasn't been inducted. The Cult hasn't been inducted. Roger Daltrey himself hasn't been inducted.
Well, I can see some of those I can live with, but
Derek and the Dominoes. They
only had one album, dude. I mean, I can see that because Clapton's in.
Yeah.
And he was the main guy in that. So, I mean, if you only got one album or something like that, I'm a little more like, okay, you don't deserve it. But when you've had 2 or 3 exceptional masterpieces and you're not getting in, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
My beloved Weezer will get in probably before Boston. And, and I love the Blue Album more than life itself, but they should never be in before Boston.
No.
That's just a damn right shame there.
Well, Dio has not been inducted.
Wow.
Who? Fucking Dio.
Yeah, but he got in other ways, right? He got in himself. Just that incarnation
Dio.
of the
Dio
guy
solo hasn't.
Oh, that's fucked up.
John Fogerty. solo has not been inducted?
Well, again, though, CCR's in.
Yeah.
I can deal with that because his career as a solo wasn't near what it was in CCR. So it's like,
Oh
okay.
God.
I mean, you can't get greedy at some point. At least you get in once, I guess.
Well,
How
and
many times?
it's like you said. It's like you said, Mikey. If you put, I mean, you do have to. You have to be somewhat selective to not water down the what it means to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, yeah, you have to. I mean, you have to be a at least in a moment in time, you have to be a very inspirational, motivational kind of band.
Yeah.
Now, who didn't put headphones on and listen to Long Time, Foreplay, Long Time, or More Than a Feeling, or
Yeah.
even all the way through Amanda, even on third stage. But I can't time Center Field by John Fogerty. Hell yeah, it's a fun song. But
Yeah.
no, it doesn't compare to his fucking CCR stuff.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll give you
CCR,
that.
CCR was definitely, they were a big thing in the '60s with late '60s with Vietnam going on, and they were used like a soundtrack for that era.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
had to be in there. Fogerty
Yeah.
himself, man, I could live with that.
Yeah.
Jay Giles' band has not been inducted.
Wow.
Yeah, that's kind of that's pretty. I mean, because they were pretty big in the early '70s, even before their like centerfold days, and
Yeah.
So I think they what was that? Must Have Got Lost was my favorite one.
Yeah.
That old
Yeah.
is the live version of Must Have Got Lost. But yeah, I mean, I understand it's a process, but I'm just saying if you cut the fat, basically, like Aretha Franklin and Moby and fucking tribe called Quest and shit like that. Get them the fuck out of there. There'd
Yeah.
be plenty of room for Boston. There'd
Yeah.
Yeah.
be plenty of room for Boston. It's like that's absolutely insane that they're not.
Billy Idol has not been inducted.
Wow.
See, that's wrong too. I mean, he did stuff in Generation X and then a solo career. I mean, he's done a lot of
Yeah.
meaningful shit.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely.
Well,
That's
He's still touring.
yes.
yeah.
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 I think he was working on a new album. Iron Maiden has not been inducted.
Oh man.
Oh man.
I mean, and this is
Yeah.
just going. James Gang has not been inducted.
Yeah. I mean, see, that's another tough one there because I mean they only did a couple albums, but Joe Walsh is in there in multiple
Oh,
spots.
oh shit. Oh shit.
Here
Kansas.
we go.
Kansas.
Wow.
Nope.
Come on, the Point of No Return album in Kansas isn't in the Hall of fucking Fame.
Oh man.
Yeah.
What they against cities and states now or what?
I think they are.
They don't like bands with city and state names. It's like, give me a break. Man, you know how to piss me off, Skeeter. You know how to piss me
Yeah.
off, man.
It's rage bait, man. That's all I'm doing is rage bait.
Yeah.
I'm like I said, classic rock and culture is where I got this from. I don't know how old this is. It's saying Huey Lewis and the News has not been inducted. This is Living Color has not been inducted.
Yeah, well, they never got to. I mean, bands like Living Color are tough. I loved them, but man, they just never reached the pinnacle success that a lot of these other bands had.
Yeah.
And it's like
Meatloaf.
Meatloaf is not in.
Nope.
That one's a weird.
Yeah, I hope they don't put him in now because I don't like those post-death ones.
No.
I think it's better just to and unless his family could enjoy it. I mean, I get that, but
Sometimes
Bat Out of Hell Bat Out of Hell was great. Now,
Yeah.
other than that, it kind of wasn't my thing. But
So I mean, why doesn't someone start like a heavy metal Hall of Fame?
I think they
Yeah,
should.
You know what I mean?
there probably is one somewhere, but it just doesn't have the financial backing and crazy shit like that. But I mean, because these bands probably demand quite a bit to even show up, which is
Oh,
sad, I guess, but they probably do. And
Well, it
Journey,
just to me it doesn't seem right. It
I
doesn't
mean,
seem right.
Journey just got in last year or the year before or something, didn't they? Not too long ago. And it's like Christ,
Yeah,
they were around since '73, and how popular were they? Man?
yeah.
I mean, the Steve Perry years, they were top of the charts.
I would be interested. I would be interested to see what the criteria are for the bands that are inducted. There's got to be some kind of a criteria. Um, I would think there would be some kind of criteria that they would have to meet in order to be inducted.
Yeah, like albums sold, maybe
Album
got something
sales
like that.
or
So
something kind of like that.
that's going to get tough if you do it with all these streaming things, man. It's going to be hard to sell albums.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You've lost demographics whenever things went online. You lose
Well,
that.
there's
Now
Metal
let's go
Hall of
on.
Fame, huh?
yep,
That's a thing, huh?
yep.
Where is that?
I just called it up, so give me a second. I wanted
Okay.
to get it in
I
there.
just didn't I just didn't know if it was actually a building or if it was just an online kind of thing. That's what I'm
Yeah, is this someone's opinion or is this an
Now,
actual credited? Uh,
credit. Yeah, like
Metal Hall of Fame is a nonprofit organization dedicated to enshrining forever those iconic musicians and music industry executives who are responsible for making rock and metal music what it is today.
huh. Hey, send an email to them maybe and say put fucking Boston in yours, man. Put Kansas in there. It's
they
something.
probably would because they belong somewhere. Jeez.
Yeah,
Okay, well,
they're not metal, but my God, man.
they've got looks like Biohazard was a 2024
Oh, okay.
inductee. Tim
I
Ripper
like
Owens.
Biohazard.
Uh,
Well, Jesus, if they're going there, they must have everybody under the sun in there
Yeah.
already.
Well, Biohazard was more of a kind of a new metal, wasn't it?
Well, I think they classified them as like slam.
Oh, really?
They had that genre like slam hardcore kind of
Yeah.
thing. But yeah,
well,
I always
right there's an email, guys.
I can't see it from there, but so does it have a physical building? Does it say?
No.
I'll go visit. I'll go visit that son of a bitch.
Let's see. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, here we go. We got some. I don't know who. I can't see the names. But,
Let's see.
Yeah,
Tom Morello.
oh, Tom Morello.
Yeah.
Come on.
Sebastian Bach. Eddie Trunk. Michael
Are these people?
Maglieri.
These people are in it, or are they the ones that decide who's in it?
No, these are the inductees.
Oh, okay. I get you.
Cleopatra Records. Biohazard. Tim Ripper Owens. Oh, Mick Mars got in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
by himself. That's
Carlos Cavazo. And Penelope Spheris.
oh yeah, decline of the Western civilization.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I remember that.
It goes back to 2017, so they must have started doing this in 2017.
Shit, I'll have to look that up. Watch it'll be in Nashville or something, and I'll have to. I'll go, Junior, beat me to it. Hell, I'd be coming down to see you if that's the case.
Yeah.
All right. All right, let's get that out of there. Okay. I'm not sure why that's there. There we go. All right, we'll put you back at your spot in the middle
center.
there, Junior.
Back in the spotlight.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's just, I guess, people's opinions don't rival mine in that regard, because that's just downright. I mean, just a handful of them that you mentioned not being in there just sent me to a different place.
Yep.
It's like, yeah, all the way back from Blue Oyster Cult to Boston to Kansas. It's like, man, that was my shit growing up. I mean, that was my wheelhouse. Those bands. So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, that's sad. Queen, and stuff like that. I know, I get that, but yeah, I'll have to look up a full list because I probably have an aneurysm though. I don't want to do that either because I won't be happy. I'm sure.
Mike is going to be boycotting. He's going to get
Yeah,
his, get his poster board and make some boycott signs.
I'll be in Cleveland with picket signs.
Yeah, right. I'm still looking. It looks like they have it somewhere.
Huh,
I'm
that's
sure it'll be
interesting.
up there.
Tickets are selling fast. All right, well, they've got a ceremony. Anaheim. They had it. They had the induction ceremony at the Grand Theater in Anaheim, California.
Fuck, I don't ever want to go to California,
I'll
man.
never, I'll never go.
Oh,
To
excuse me. It's
Ever.
coming. Well, no, they had it. The January 22nd, 2025. So they just fucking had it.
Do you think Morello actually showed up for it?
Oh, I'm sure he did.
You think?
Yeah, I bet he did.
I don't know,
I don't
man.
know. He's kind of like anti-award stuff too,
Yeah.
which which makes me wonder why the hell he's on a committee at one point for Rock and
Yeah.
Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So,
It seems like a pretty selective person to be on a committee like
yeah,
that.
yeah, that kind of more when you said that, yeah, it's like that clicked. It's like, well, why in the hell is he choosing people for shit he wouldn't even do?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Rotten, man. That's crazy. Well, I don't know. I guess I don't have to worry about going to the Heavy Metal Hall of Fame though, because I'm not going to California.
I'm joining you there, man. I'm not there. I ain't going anywhere near the West Coast. I don't want no part of
No,
it. Want no part of it.
when I was younger, I wanted to go there, but it just yeah, it ain't worth the view and all the money to go out there for what it is now. And it's like I'll stay here in the good old Midwest, and what I get here is what I get. If I want to go, I go south or east, either way, and get to the ocean the same way. So
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
all
I
right.
tell you, I see enough Californians in Nashville, uh, being Tennessee has no state taxes, so um, Tennessee is probably the one of the fastest growing states population
Yeah,
wise.
yeah.
I mean, it's blowing up, and man, I see license plates from all over in California, plates everywhere, and
That's
that's
crazy.
fine. That's fine. They can come out here and become a Tennessean all they want to, as long as they leave their California views back on the West Coast. We
Exactly.
we
Yeah.
don't we're in Tennessee because we want to be Tennesseans. We're not in Tennessee because we want to be in the middle of the United States, California in the middle of the United States. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I absolutely I get you 1,000%. It's like Tennessee. Yeah, I still have family there and stuff. But what happened to Memphis? Is that a music scene, or is that just because it's so violent? Seems
I
like
think
down there.
I think everybody's afraid of it now. I'm sure people in Memphis would still scream that it's a great place to play music and everything. And I can't say much because I'm wearing a Memphis hat. Uh, but it's. I think I read the other day where it's for 2024. It's the most dangerous city in the United States.
Yeah, that's what
Wow.
blows
Everything
my
believes.
mind.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I always kind of wanted to go to Graceland. In the back of my mind, I thought I'd go to Graceland someday, and I just don't know if I could do it now. It's like
Yeah,
I'm too old I'm too old for that shit.
yeah, me too. Me too, man. And ironically enough, even from Nashville, Memphis is about a 3 hour drive. It's pretty good ways away, and I don't think I would make the drive for it. It's too dangerous.
Yeah, I
Well,
don't blame you.
is Graceland still open?
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
it? Because we went there. Oh shoot, I can't. I was young. I remember being young, and it wasn't too much longer than he had passed.
Hmm.
So whenever they had opened it up for people to come through Graceland to take the tours and stuff. So I remember being relatively young. I mean, like maybe junior high or younger
Oh wow.
when we went
Yeah.
down, and it was awesome.
Yeah,
Graceland is awesome.
yeah.
It sounds like it'd be cool. That's why I always said, but I don't want to risk my life to see it. No.
No, no.
So you're
No.
talking probably the '80s
Yeah.
when we went down, and it wasn't too bad, but the area around it kind of looked a little run down in spots. So I could about imagine adding all those years now to what it's like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a rough
It,
place, they say
it,
this.
yeah. If you're not on Bill Street, you're probably in a dangerous area. And Bill Street, probably is a dangerous area too. Hell, I don't know. But
Yeah.
I'm sure it's like any other town. There's beautiful places, but you don't get the trophy for being the most dangerous city in the United States just by happenstance.
No.
I think
Yeah.
there's something that's causing them to get that award, and I don't want to find out what it is. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. I'm with you 1,000%.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, what really, since we're kind of on the topic of Hall of Fames or museums or stuff, what other kind of musical stuff is out there that you can go to see? I mean, you have
Here
to
in
go to
Nashville.
California. I know Nashville.
Oh yeah,
You got the
tons of
Grand
people.
Ole Opry and stuff like that, and I heard you were talking about it booming down there.
It is. It is. Yeah.
So
It's
how?
there's I mean here in Nashville there's the Country Music Hall of Fame, the Grand Ole Opry, the Ryman Auditorium is a very historic place, and they still have rock shows there. Matter of fact, my cousin and my friend Mikey went to see Anthrax there in the Ryman Auditorium, and it's a huge church that they converted. And
That's where
uh,
they actually did the Grand Ole Opry, correct?
no, the Grand Ole
No.
Opry is actually in the Grand Ole Opry building.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's an actual building. It used to be surrounded by Opryland, but now it's a mall called Opry Mills, and it's right down there around the Opryland Hotel, and the Grand Ole Opry's all right there together. Yeah,
Hmm.
So Opryland is gone.
Opryland is gone now. As a kid, my mother took me and my brother there all the time. It's kind of like a Kings Island type thing, but it was all like hillbilly and
Yeah, we
um,
went. We went when we were down there for in seeing Graceland. So
oh, okay.
so we made like the fucking trip.
Yeah, yeah. So it's kind of like Dollywood, but I think it closed in like early '90s, maybe. It closed.
Wow.
They created this big mall that covers basically the entire area now. So,
Wow.
Hmm.
but all of it was underwater whenever they had the flood. Back in the like probably around 2004, 2005, maybe.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's and the thing is, Nashville is all about country music. There's a good rock scene here, but it's kind of really hard to not be taken into the country music because it's everywhere. And to be perfectly honest, when I go downtown, I rather enjoy hearing the country music. It's never going to be my genre of choice, and banjo still fucking grates on my nerves, like, you know, like somebody planted a freaking bug in my ear or something. But the country music today, Jelly Roll and Posty and all the new music artists that are coming up. It's kind of fun to watch them. A lot of times, I don't know about you guys, but you go to a show. If you're a musician, you tend to focus on the instrument that's you play. Like when I go to see shows, I'm always watching the drummer. Skeet, I know you're probably watching the guitar player to see what pedals he's stepping on and stuff.
Yeah.
So even when I go to see country music shows, I'm still watching the drummer, and it's really fun because they do a lot. They have a lot of technique as a country music drummer than a lot of rock drummers have. There's different techniques, there's different hand styles, and to be perfectly honest, they play a lot of cool riffs and a lot of cool patterns that would work in rock and metal, but no one ever looks at that and tries that because they're like, oh, well, that's a country thing. But shit, man, I've had a song, that I wrote with Britt. Believe it or not, we were coming back from visiting my daughter in Chattanooga, a couple years ago, and I wrote the lyrics to this new song called Poser. Gray Cloud 9 was going to do it, but we never got around to it before, I ended up leaving. So I've got this song called Poser, and it's got a train beat. It's what I would consider a hardcore song, but the verse is played over a train beat, and that's classic like blues and country,
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that even though it's country, there's a lot of cool things that you can pick up, and it's like I said, it's kind of hard, being surrounded by that. It's kind of hard not to get pulled into it a little bit. So if you ever hear me listen to the country music, don't get discouraged because I'm not giving up on metal and rock. So
Oh, I mean, country done well is still good music. It's not.
Yeah,
there's some great
country.
bands out there that do country, and I'm more the old school country, but I've seen a lot of these guys because of my wife takes me to country concert every year and stuff, and we're going to a thing called Rock the Country this year.
Oh wow!
And it's a mixture. It's got Kid Rock with Nickelback, with Tracy Lawrence, with Leonard Skinner, with so it's like different, all mixed together.
Yeah.
But I love Hardy. Hardy's one of my. I loved what I saw him live. It's like that dude put on a show, man.
Yeah.
And there's several of them that Brantley Gilbert and Dierks Bentley and stuff like that I thought were exceptionally good that I had never thought I would like, and they were just surprise, surprise. We're not Hicks, all the way. So.
Well, okay, but let's be honest though. Your newer country, there's country rap.
Yeah,
it's gone away. It's gone away from the classic. I'm with Mikey. If I want to hear country, I want to hear Kenny Rogers and Dolly and the classic acts.
Yeah. And I like them too. Don't believe. Hey man, I love me some George Jones, man. I do. Who's gonna fill them shoes, baby? I'm all about it. But really in the '90s, it's when it started moving away from what a traditional country, kind of country western. It kind of moved away from that and started moving into like a country pop. And then you had your all those country pops, Lori Morgan and Aaron Tippin and all those people that kind of migrated it into a country pop, which I love '90s country. I really do. Toby Keith and all those people. It just I loved it back when before I got big into the metal, into harder metal and hardcore stuff. But yeah, it's definitely a different animal these days than even it was in the '90s. Which is good. I love to see it. I love to see people trying new things with different genres, and not just not saying, hey, I've got to stay within these boundaries because this is what I want to play. They're experimenting. They're putting things together. You got Jelly Roll and all these Morgan Wallen, and they're all doing these different types of country music, and it's, hey, I'm all for it, man. I used to play metal with somebody that was a big into like bluegrass, and man, when we played together, he brought a flavor to it. It's secret herbs and spices that you can mix together, and there's no real recipe. It's just whatever comes out of the oven, and hey, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I mean, as many subgenres of rock and metal you have, I don't see why you can't incorporate that into country. I mean,
right.
that's what they're doing. They're basically saying we don't have to be Conway Twitty, which God, I miss Conway Twitty though.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Conway Twitty, but at the same time, it's like I like Hardy. I like rap, even some of the rap with like Upchurch. I'm an Upchurch kind of. I like some of the stuff he's done. Not a big fan of like Luke Combs and that, but they're still very highly regarded. It's like, well, I just it's not my bag. Some of them are hit, some of them are miss for me, but it's still, it's an expression. And it's like, if everybody played Conway Twitty music still, country would be dead.
Yeah.
Because
It would have nowhere to go.
Yeah, you got to evolve. You can't, if rock and roll would have stayed, we'd be listening to Bill Haley and the Comets yet today.
That's right.
But now, the favorite band on the planet's a girl that screams at the guts of hell and then can sing as pretty as can be the next second. So it's like that. It's ever evolving is always a good thing. Even some people are going to love it, some are going to hate it. But
she's not horrible to look at either.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Well, speaking of harder music, Mikey, have you checked out the new Deadlands single that came out?
I haven't. I just seen the trailer for it. I haven't seen the actual video yet. I didn't know exactly when it was coming out. I've seen her promoting it, but I have not seen the song, heard the song yet. No.
Okay.
I did. The new Ginger song came out the other day, and that hyped me up. And next Friday, the album drops. So next Friday will be a happy day in my world. Yeah. So it's like anytime Ginger puts out something, I'm on it. I'm all over it. And yeah, that's one I'm highly anticipating. So yeah.
Junior, anything that's popped in on your radar lately?
You mean new music or new albums?
Any new rock or metal that's caught your interest? I know you're in the pulse of country music down there. Is there a new country artist down there that maybe we can pop on everybody?
Well, one of the bands that's really over the past couple of years that's really kind of caught my attentions. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of 12-Foot Ninja.
No.
Yeah, they're from like New Zealand or Australia or something.
Yeah. That's probably one of the newest. Well, I should say newer bands that I'm looking at. But it's funny. I'm evolving backwards. I started. I've never been a really big Ice Cube fan, and then I watched the movie Straight Outta Compton. And I'm like, where the hell was I at when all this was happening? And I know where I was at because I was listening to fucking hair metal. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. But now I'm seeing this stuff, on this show, and I was like, man, I'm going to check out some Ice Cube. So I've gone back and started looking at, listening to early NWA and early, Ice Cube, and man, I'm loving this stuff. I'm like, man, it's really cool stuff, and I don't know how I missed it the first time, but
it makes sense. How long were you doing the Gray Cloud stuff, or trying to build up to where you eventually got into Gray Cloud?
Yeah, Dave and I started playing back in 2001 when I first moved up, but we lost touch, and then we got back in touch around the 2010 time frame. And we started playing probably Gray Cloud 9 stuff around 2014 2015, 2014, somewhere in there. So, I mean, we did that up until 2023. So, I mean, it was about 8 or 9 years that we did that.
So you were concentrating on doing your own music during that time. So I mean, Mikey has talked about this before. You know, I was listening to this, or I wasn't listening to hardly anything because I didn't want that influence.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that it's easy to see where you would miss a whole genre because they
Yeah.
come and go so fast.
Yeah, they do. They do.
Wow. If you're into the hardcore rap from that era, though, I got a band. If you've never heard of them, tell me. But Ghetto Boys. If you've never heard them, you got to listen to them.
I have heard some Ghetto Boys. I have.
They are funny as shit, and I mean, they just do. They don't care. They do
Yeah.
not care.
Yeah.
And
They're
it's
pretty raw,
great.
man. Yeah,
I
and
love them.
yeah, new metal is my bag. People will say that it's a stolen genre, that they stole hip hop from the soul and the hip hop artist, but I don't even fucking care. I don't care.
Nope.
Call it what you will. I don't think you steal from other people. I think you get influence. It's you can't say that new metal stole hip hop and then not say that hip hop don't steal from rock, because you have P Diddy sampling, every breath, every breath you
Yeah,
take.
the Police. Yeah.
So you gotta kind of say you draw inspiration from each other instead of saying you stole this or you're. So call new metal what you will. It gets me moving and it gets the blood pumping. And I've always loved hard hitting funk and hip hop. I love it. So
Yeah, I mean
I'll still take it.
yeah, the draw and inspiration thing. When you just said that, I seen an interview just like the other day with Dave Grohl, and they were talking about his drum beat for "Smells Like Teen Spirit," and he goes, I stole that." And they're like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Listen, do you drop the bomb on me?"
Yeah.
Boom, bum, boom,
Nice.
bum, bum.
Yep.
And he said, "I did that a million times. I used that riff a million times."
Yeah.
So it's like, it just you're not really stealing it in my mind, like he said, like Junior said. It's like
Yeah.
you just hear it so much and you think it's a cool riff and you incorporate it into your own stuff. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely. You draw inspiration from where you can, right?
absolutely, yeah. And it's not a. I think it's more of a compliment if you use. I mean, don't note for note it, but
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you sound like something else, it's like, well, I dig your shit. I want to kind of do my
Yeah.
own version of your stuff. So it's
Yeah.
like,
Hey, if
Well,
I'm checking out your wife, you should take it as, hey, I'm glad I've got a beautiful woman. Don't be mad because I'm checking her out, because she's a
yeah,
beautiful woman,
just don't walk up and slide your hand up her butt, and then you'll be all right.
Yeah, exactly.
You
Come
might
on.
look, but don't touch.
That's right, man. That's
oh
right.
shit.
Only me could draw a parallel.
Yeah,
like
yeah. That's nice.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Anybody got anything else they want to talk about?
Oh, I mean, no, I think the only thing I can say for you guys tonight is that I envy you. I envy you guys a little bit because I get to talk about music a lot, and I have my own show, and I do this and I do that. But you guys are still playing music, and it's like sometimes that drives me insane that I don't do that anymore. And it's like, so I think for me to you guys, it's like the fact that you're still going is pretty cool. And guys like me that wish they could do it aren't doing it anymore. So it's like, yeah, draw an inspiration. And when you're talking about that stuff, that takes me back to when I was doing a lot of songwriting. It's like take from your life, but you also take from your favorite bands and kind of try to smush them together.
Yeah.
So that I'd say to you and everybody else out there listening that's in a band, don't take it for granted.
Yeah.
Even if it's a minuscule amount, keep doing what you're doing, or you'll end up just talking about it like me. I don't know. It's something I was thinking about. As we were talking, I was like, I love talking about music, but I miss having more input, like
Yeah.
Playing and doing that stuff and announcing shows.
Yeah.
So
Well,
Yeah.
that's all I had.
believe it or not, yesterday, no, today's Saturday. Yeah, yesterday at work, over lunch, I plugged in my external hard drive and was going to go back to the show. I had gone down to Chattanooga and spent some time with my grandkids last weekend. So my grandson, the night he was born, I don't know if you guys remember it, but we were playing a show that night. We were playing a show at Z's Level 3. You remember?
Oh shit!
It was one of our Halloween. It was the very first Halloween night.
Yeah, I remember.
And my grandson was born that night. And if you guys remember, we sang him happy birthday.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
And I was like, I wonder what I don't think I ever watched the show after that, because the night after we got finished playing, we were responsible for cleaning up the area and making sure we had all those hay bales in there and all that stuff. And so it took us till the morning time to get everything cleaned up. And then Britt and I came home and slept a couple hours and then drove down to Chattanooga that like 2 hours later to see my grandson for the first time. So I never got to go back and watch that video. Well, I went back yesterday and was going to watch it just to see what it was like, and I ended up watching you guys, your whole set, and watching our whole set. We played with Seven Stone Sacrifice also.
Yeah.
I ended up sitting there and watching watching 3 sets of music on my lunch break, and I'm sure it's a good thing I didn't have other people watching me over the walls, because there was about a half hour there that I got paid to watch that. I watched that whole show, and I'm fortunate that I've got all that stuff on video and I can watch it and go back. And but man, I even though I'm still playing, I love to go back and relive the glory days of jamming with you guys and jamming with other bands and stuff. It's a lot of fun. It really is, and I'll do it till the day I die.
Yeah, I'm with you 100% there. I love going back and watching the old shows. It's not always pretty, but it's still fun. It's fun. Man.
Well, I can tell you right now, if there was ever a show you played with Gray Cloud 9, I've got that video. So if you ever need it, just let me know.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah, well, it reminds me of when I was a few years ago when I was sitting at home and had some time to sit at home. If everybody remembers that era,
yeah,
I had taken every show we ever played and cherry picked every song that we had done, and I made this big, huge compilation.
Oh wow!
Blu-ray, DVD, whatever you want, and I took every song that we had ever played that we had a video of, and I put it together in chronological order. This tells you how OCD I am about stuff. And the hours I put into that, and it's sitting over here off to the side. I think I made Mikey a copy.
Yeah, I got mine.
And I was like, oh my God, you just look back and it is your glory days. You just go back to the glory days.
Even had the discussion panels on all those, where we went through every album with the people that played on that album and sat there and talked about it.
Oh,
and
wow.
I would start talking about the song, and somebody else in the band say, "That's what that song's about." I never knew that. That's what it is. Yeah, it was interesting to do those, and it's like they're all on there too. It's
Yeah.
like 4.5 hours. It's 4.5 hour video.
That's
It's great.
cool. That's the kind of shit I'm going to be watching when I'm in a nursing home somewhere. As long as I have a DVD player, I'm going to be watching that shit religiously until I die.
Yep.
Well,
I do it every summer.
by then you'll be able to put the thing in your head, the little
Yeah.
disc or whatever, and put it in your head, and you just be
Or
able to sit there and watch it.
maybe they'll do a total recall where you can go back and actually relive the experience.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah.
$1 million idea right
There
there.
you go. Elon, if you're out there, buddy.
That's what we want to do. That's what we want to do.
Well, fellas, we hit the 2 hour mark. You want to wrap it up?
I guess so.
Sure.
Man, it was a great live stream. Thank you, Junior, for coming on and
Yeah,
being
absolutely.
with us. We'd love to have you back as soon as we can.
Anytime, man. Anytime.
Maybe we could add a fourth person to this panel and actually have some really good stuff and maybe hit a 3 or 4 hour mark. But
Yeah.
we'll go ahead and call it a night. This is Skeet.
Moshmen, Mikey.
Junior.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody that did, and we will see you soon.
Peace out.
See ya.
See ya.